So New Year's Day finds you in Acheampong. Did your family come to visit you on New Year's Day?
Oh, visit? Hardly. Because when they come in, you won't even see them. If they have brought in something to be received at the gate, and then, you'll be called and handed over to you.
So you never met them physically?
No.
Okay.
I remember, by then my first daughter was 6 months old. So you can imagine. I was a joke. Now, we were in the prisons, 79. I remember it was around 5 o'clock in the evening. And normally prisoners are locked up around 5 o'clock. And when in prison, when you hear inside being shouted by the wardens, either you have to go in, then you go into your cell. That's what it means.
Inside?
Inside. Before you even know what is happening.
If you don't go inside, what happens to you?
Oh, they will punish you. They can be harsh at times,
What was the kind of punishment they would meet?
Oh, they have various ways of punishing people in prisons. Especially those who are stubborn.
Were you ever punished?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't at all.
Okay. So we
were soldiers who were not part of them as such, But this common criminals, as they call them,
corporal punishment. They beat them, or
they beat them. They beat them. At times, a crime will be committed by one of them in a cell, and they'll beat the whole cell.
Oh, mass punishment. Mass punishment.
Mass punishment. In those days, things were very rough, very, very rough. So we had this inside. Normally, they allow us, the 4 of us, to stay a bit. The normal prisoners will go in, will stay a bit. So we normally move in around 7 p.m. But they know we shan't run away or anything. So the moment they shouted inside, this was now serious. So we all moved into ourselves, everybody. Now, when they open the prison gates, you can hear the noise. The prison gate was open. And then where we were, we couldn't see anything. But we realized something unusual was going on. Well, we heard a vehicle enter, the noise of the vehicle. So we were there then. About 20 minutes, a warder rushed to our cell and said the acting director of prison is around and he would like to meet us. So we went. We climbed the administrative office. He was sitting together with the director in charge of the prisons. He said, "Gentlemen, government has directed that you should be released immediately." So he brought out a letter signed by General Akufu.
The new head of state?
Yeah, he was the new head of state. We should be released immediately. Now, after the removal of Acheampong, they didn't release us immediately. By then also, they have picked some stalwart politicians, those I would call founders of this nation. Willie Oforiatta. That's how I got to know him in Acheampong. Then Colonel Agbelegbedema.
Command's lieutenant.
Oh, of course, he's the best lieutenant. Acheampong made a lot of mistakes. And the strange thing is that this is something I think people should also say. History has a way of repeating itself in this country, but politicians don't seem to look at it. Can you believe whilst we were in Acheampong, at a certain stage, Acheampong arrested Afrifa, General Afrifa,
his own colleague.
That Afrifa, he has had rumors that Afrifa or intelligence has briefed him that Africa was planning to unseat him.
Because Africa was involved in the 66 coup.
66 coup,
Okay.
and Africa was responsible in de facto. He set up the Busia regime. Do you understand me?
Yes, indeed.
So why should Acheampong come and remove him? But listen once again. Our historians have to come out with the facts. Look, Acheampong was not earmarked for the position he had as a brigade commander. Well, at that time, there were better officers. Now, this particular thing I'm going to tell you was told to me by Lieutenant General Joshua Hamiru. He said when he was in charge of military intelligence, he has gone to play tennis. And he had a call on his walkie-talkie that he should see the president-elect immediately. Oh, sorry, Prime Minister-elect immediately. And Prime Minister-elect was Busia.
Busia.
So he quickly went there at his Odoko residence. When he got in, they said, oh, the Prime Minister is busy, so you should wait a bit. So they gave him a seat in the waiting room. Then not quite long after, Africa came out with the Prime Minister-elect. He got up and of course, he paid his respect. And when Africa left, Busia said, oh, the information I wanted, in fact, have been given by the general. But since you are in charge of military intelligence, listen to me carefully. I will still like to hear your views on certain things. So he asked him, how do you find your officer, Lieutenant Colonel Acheampong? So he gave a little background about him. You know, as for military intelligence, anything you do when you are an officer,
You put it in the
they
file.
will know. They will know. So he gave some negative points about him, and positive issues also. Then he said he realized that the questions he was asking him was he has the intention of having him promoted. And by then, Acheampong was commanding officer of 5 Battalion of Infantry. Listen to me carefully. The only place you can send him from that place is a brigade. And a brigade commander is a very powerful man. Well, he has a number of battalions under him. So he can move troops easily if he wants to. In those days, we have Southern Command, and I think the same thing, and Northern Command. The brigade commander who is in the Southern Command is very powerful. So he realized, he said, what do you think about giving him a higher command? And Joshua said, he told him, sir, I don't think he's up to that mark yet. He told him. And then he left him. The moment they were sworn in, Busia was sworn as the Prime Minister, Executive Prime Minister, Acheampong was made Brigade Commander, Acting Brigade Commander.
Are you saying that Busia disregarded the advice?
Of course, if you have listened to him. Now, mind you, you don't know what Africa has talked to him. Yeah, listen to me carefully. So Acheampong was announced as acting brigade commander. Then immediately later on, they promoted him to the level of full colonel. A brigade must be handled by a colonel. So here he was handling two very sensitive positions: a battalion commander and a brigade commander. That's Acheampong. 2 years plus. I think it's been less. I think they are 2 years plus. Acheampong removed them from power.
72.
Yeah,
13th January.
72.
Yeah.
Now, that particular appointment was based on ethnicity.
Why do you say so?
Why do I say so? How? I mean, the old man was telling me a story, and common sense can tell you that. And it was confirmed to me by J.H. Mensah in Acheampong that when the coup took place, they were all surprised. Luckily, he was able to get in touch with Acheampong. He asked Acheampong, what is happening? He said, oh, just be cool, minister. Things will be okay very soon. And rather advise them. And I think this Nkufu too has mentioned him somewhere before. He advised the ministers and the party leaders to come to the castle at Osu for their own safety, so that people will not worry them. When they got in there, they packed all of them to Acheampong, including Bridget Arocha and his late brother. Kufuor was also involved. He was taken there. Then it was then that J.H. Mensah said he realized that Acheampong was not at all their man. I think you follow me.
I'm trying to.
Now, as I said earlier,
Because Acheampong was Akan.
no, Acheampong was an Ashanti.
Asante, yes.
And they want to make sure that whoever takes charge of the army in their period must be their own person. But you know, the military doesn't operate like that. You'll be surprised.
Was Ghana divided ethnically around that time? Or were there suspicions?
There were suspicions. It wasn't divided ethnically, but there were suspicions. And of course, in the military, they go strictly by seniority. And there were definitely more senior officers who can take charge of brigades than Acheampong.
Who makes that appointment? Is it the Prime Minister?
It's the Prime Minister. It is, that's why he called him. He wanted the professional side from General Amidu as the head of military intelligence.
Yeah.
And he called Afrifa also for his views.
Is it not ironical that General Acheampong now overthrows Premier
That is why it is interesting now. There is one interesting thing that also happened in Acheampong's coup. All the battalions he used, he never used the commanders. He used the second in command. One battalion of infantry, Agbo, Major Agbo. I don't think you know him. You don't know Major Agbo, very good soldier. Reki, Major Tony Selome. 5 battalion, Major Ban, second command. 2 BN, one Fantima, I forgot him. These were the people he used. Because definitely the commanders themselves will not allow. I think you follow me.
I do.
That's why I'll keep on warning about, this ethnocentric behavior of our security services. It doesn't help us. It will not help you. If you plan that, definitely it will fail. But a soldier is a soldier. When he's convinced about something, you can never change his mind. Now, what is even more interesting is that whilst Afrifa was picked and kept in Acheampong, he wrote a letter. It can be found. I'm sure you can find it. You are a journalist.
Yes, I found that letter.
Warning Acheampong that if he's not careful and went the way he's doing, one day they all be lined up and shot. And it happened.
It was almost a prophecy.
You see?
It was a prophecy.
Yes. The note is there. In fact, it was published by Graphic.
I have seen that letter. We'll put it up for people to see. Yeah.
The one who made him the brigade commander. You see how nature works. So as I said, we were there. We went to see the Director General, Acting Director General of Ghana Prisons. And he says, well, we have been released, so if our names were there.
What month was this? In 79? Must have been in May?
I think it was in May, because I had my birthday in prison. Early part of May. Yeah, early part of May.
You celebrated your birthday in prison?
Oh, how can you celebrate?
Did you have any corned beef? Any corned beef?
No,
that thing was stopped?
There was no corned beef at all. So, well, finally, then we told him, oh, it's a bit dark, and the telephone facilities wasn't like this. You follow me? So all we said was that, oh, we would like to sleep and go on the next. He said, no, you have to leave.
Because you've been released.
He said, the order is, you must leave now. Immediately.
So you came out into James.
So we have quickly to get a phone call. By then it was normal, these phones, you know. Landline for our relatives and our, partners to come and pick us. This is what happened.
Which of your family members met you first when you came out of prison?
I think my wife. She came there. My wife came there. And also, I think George's wife came also. And then we all left together in 2 cars.
And this happened before the May 15th uprising. Is that correct?
I'm coming. Before.
Yes.
Now, we have been released. Exactly 2 weeks after that was May 15th.
And the funny thing is that we are recording this interview on the anniversary of the May 15th.
Yes.
Exactly 45 years ago.
45 years ago. And what happened was, I have just been released, and I have started working with my late uncle at Nyaho Clinic.
Were you dismissed from the army?
We were dismissed from the armed forces. Letters were brought to us at Acheampong prison, and we signed. We were dismissed from the armed forces. There's no way we could have come back to the armed forces. You follow me? So I came and teamed up with my late uncle, who built the Nyaho Clinic.
Yes, airport residential.
Yeah. And so when I heard of this, and then my mind started moving up and down. I just came out of detention for all these years. You don't know who is leading. I'm talking about May 15th.
Exactly.
You don't know who is leading this particular
uprising.
Exactly. So what do I do? Then my mind started running around. Should I leave the country? If I'm leaving the country, how do I go? Because if it's Acheampong who is fighting back, then that will be very bad for me. I think you follow me. Whoever even it might be, you will find it difficult to get out of the country at that time for a while. So it was there that I stood thinking, and I met that gentleman. He was driving past, called Hyde, Joe Hyde. No, not Joe Hyde. He's called Joe. But they used to call him Zola, but it's a Hyde. He was an architect. Then I said, okay, let me go to the hospital. So I dressed up, got into my car, drove to the clinic.
On that May 15th?
On that same day. And I remember my uncle was asking me, I said, well, I've also been hearing of gunshots and whatnot. I don't know what is happening. And truly, I didn't know what was happening. And I remember there was an anesthetic specialist, a lady called Mrs. Mensah. She comes from Kolebu to do anesthesia work for us at Nyaho Clinic. So she was also asking. I said, well, this was then before 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock news, we heard that the whole thing has been foiled. And it was foiled, headed by Lieutenant General Major General Date Wellington, and what's the name of this officer? Major Suleimana. Mother is still around. Major Suleimana, very good soldier.
They foiled the attempt.
They foiled that thing. Major Suleimana comes from Reki. And Reki and Air Force area. See, Rawlings used Air Force boys. Was quite cool, proximity-wise. So he used his Reki and his men to immediately suppress that coup attempt.
Did you know Flight Lieutenant Rawlings before this?
No, before that I haven't met Rawlings.
At all?
At all.
Never heard of him?
In fact, when I came home when I came to Armed Forces as a doctor, he was in Takrady. You know, as an Air Force officer, most of the time, that's where they are. And I hardly visited the Air Force station in Accra. You follow me? It was later on that I got to know that he's even my relative. Later.
It's your relative?
Oh, she is.
Through your father or through your mother?
Rawlings' grandmother is a granddaughter of this old man, Nyaho the First.
Okay. Nyaho the First is your grandfather?
Is my great
great.
And I said Rawlings' grandmother, a grandmother whom looked like I came to meet, is a granddaughter of Nyaho the First. I think you follow me now.
I do. I do. The man, you mentioned General Date Wellington and Major Suleimana as a
Suleimana is now president. He's a Tolon now.
Okay.
He's a chief.
Big chief there. What was General Date Wellington like?
Date is a professional soldier. He was then the army commander. I think he gave directives and whatnot. And that was the end of that particular abortive coup. Now, the one that he died, he led. I saw him with my naked eyes. He was in the turret, in the Reki, vehicle. He went to the broadcasting house, broadcast to the nation, and then from there he went to the Nima police station. It was quite in the Nima police station. I think some of the rebels got to know that he was there and they came in, killed him there. So he died in action.
Before the June 4th, of course, there was Rawlings and his men were arrested. They were imprisoned.
Yeah, before June 4th, there's one very important thing. Rawlings and his men were arrested. They were in prison.
In Bema camp?
No, they were sent to special branch cells.
Okay. Some of the places that you visited. Or were sent to.
Now, there's a very interesting development. I might give you one of the pictures of this gentleman so that you show it to the public. It's important. There was a small circle of officers. Indeed, if I have not been detained, if I have not been picked earlier, I would have been part of it. Because one of them who was so prominent was my close friend in the same unit, my first unit, 1 battalion of infantry. His name was Henry Smith. And then he was a captain. And
the one who became General Smith.
No, General Smith.
Okay,
No. General Smith. We laugh. General Smith, no. It wasn't that maverick. No. He was, normal.
By the way, were they related?
They are related. I think they were cousins.
Okay. Right.
This man, his brother is Victor Smith. Victor Smith is his younger brother.
Okay.
A real soldier. Now, he was in charge of the whole armory of Ghana in Burma camp. So you can imagine, he was
the
in
weapons.
Charge. He was the officer commanding that particular place. When Rawlings moved, some of them were surprised. Well, the circle is made up of Henry Smith, who was then a captain, but later he left as a major. Major Smith, Major Boachejan, I think Mensa Poku. Now, this young officer who later joined them was not part of it. Acheampong. You follow me? Now, J. Rawlings was part of it, of the group, but he hardly, attend meetings with them. So when Rawlings moved first, they were all surprised.
Okay.
I think you follow me?
Yes.
So Henry quickly knew how to handle, the other ranks very well. So they immediately planned to release Rawlings.
Did he ever tell you why he moved the date, or why he did the May 15th at that time and not
Henry?
Lieutenant Rawlings.
No. I have not had Rawlings. I have not had a chance with Rawlings at all on this issue. I'm talking about Henry Smith. Henry, I knew very. By then, I didn't know Rawlings.
Yes. No, I'm saying later on in life. No. You never had any conversation with him about May 15th.
Not at all. Not at all. Okay. Not at all. Not at all. But Henry explained to me that when they arrested Rawlings and he was sentenced to death, it was then that they decided that it's time for them to move. You follow me? So they have some of the ranks about them. So they moved.
Okay. So that led to June 4th?
That led to June 4th.
Okay.
Now, there's another interesting thing that I think you should know. When Rawlings was arrested, he was court-martialed. Now, you can have what we say open court-martial and general and close-up court-martial. Once again, an intelligence officer from the military advised government, that's Akufo's government, not to give Rawlings a platform, let alone open court-martial. The open court-martial, they allow journalists to come there. And Rawlings took the advantage and spoke about the difficulties going on in the country, about the difficulties and challenges facing the ordinary person. And you can realize when the people heard it, everybody, including the soldiers.
Why do you think General Akufo disregarded the intelligence? What's your theory?
You see, many a time, it's just like what is happening now. When you are advised, many a time, our leaders are advised, but they don't take the advice. By special people who know exactly their work. You follow me? And the most pathetic thing was that when the court-martial was put in place, it was headed by one Colonel Enimfu. When the soldiers struck on June 4th, they went to his residence at Burma camp, killed him, killed the wife, killed the children.
Wow.
Oh, yes. Why these things don't appear in our history books, I don't understand. And Enimfu was killed. You can ask General Mensa, he's alive.
I think Enimfu was his neighbor even.
Yes.
Yes. He said so in the...
He said so?
Yes. In the interview I had with him.
There you are. Very, very, very... And normally, you hardly see a Ghanaian soldier behaving like that. Never.
So what happened?
Killed the officer,
Killed
who
his
was the
wife.
chairman of that, what do you call it, court martial committee, killed the wife, killed the children.
It's traumatic.
Yeah.
What happened to the Ghanaian psyche? Or the military, the psyche of the soldiers? These are soldiers doing this.
That day, it rained heavily, I remember, the whole day. June 4th. It rained very heavily. And nobody knew what was happening. There was no government in place for almost 3 days. The press cannot say anything. I mean, people were dying. Over 300 people died, soldiers and civilians.
Where were you on June 4th?
That's why I say June 4th.
You were home?
I was now a free man. But I didn't want to have anything to do. In fact, I've just been released from prison. What am I going to do?
Tasting freedom.
And my friend Henry later met me. And recently he came to Ghana. I will show his pictures to you. And then we were discussing and say, by then they have succeeded. That's the June 4th. We preceded them. Myself and the other.
Yes, it was like a trial run. Yeah.
They said, but now you moved too early. Rollins
moved early, you moved earlier. Do you think you would have been part of June 4th?
I definitely I would have been part.
You would have been part of it?
Because my relationship with Smith was very close. Very, very close. Very, very close. And I can't see how he would do such a thing, and I will not know.
What did you make of all these? Later on, there were reports of people who were being brutalized, market women being stripped and caned, and soldiers going on rampage, roadblocks. What did you make of all of that? By then, now you were a civilian, technically.
It was quite disturbing. You see, women being whipped in public. Yes. Mokola market was totally destroyed. Mokola #1. It used to be a huge market.
Was it bombed?
Yeah, I think they came there, whether it was bombing or whatever they did, but the whole structure, they destroyed everything there.
What was their reason?
Well, I don't know. I don't know whether that was.
Why bomb a market? Why destroy a market?
That was a directive from the leadership at that time, June 4 leadership. But everything was destroyed. But they used to sell various items, clothes. You know, it was more popular than Mokola #2.
Where is Mokola #1? Where is the site of the former Mokola #1 now in Accra?
Now they call the place Rollins Park.
Oh, so that was Mokola #1.
It was. So you can see there, it's a huge place.
It's a huge place. Yeah.
Rollins Park. That's how they call the place.
And then on the 16th of June, executions of.
Oh yeah, the executions.
Acheampong and the
executions really shock a lot of people. They shock a lot of people because you see, when you are dealing with the ranks and you are not in control, that's why I have always been against this protocol list.
Where people are recruited.
That's right.
Based on, okay, this is your lead. Bring 10 people.
Exactly.
Bring 20 people.
Exactly.
Like a favor.
Exactly. Because many a time they create problems. The one who has really been picked as a soldier, because they assess you well before they pick you, examine you properly, question you on certain issues. You see. Now,
was there a protocol list in your time when you joined the army?
Is there?
When you joined the army, was there protocol?
No.
When did you join the army?
No. I joined the army in 1973.
As a doctor already?
As a doctor.
Okay. How did you apply? How did you apply?
After I finished in medical school, I did my housemanship and everything. I decided, I came home for holidays. Okay. And I realized friends that I know, most of them were officers. So I went back to, I would like to join the army as an officer also in the medical corps. Now, my late uncle who established Nyaho Clinic was a soldier. He was a colonel. He was the first Ghanaian to head a military hospital. In fact, if you go to the hospital now, you see Tamakloe ward.
Yes.
Yeah. So I said, oh, why don't I join the army to have some experience also? So I wrote to the Ghana Armed Forces. And then I had a reply from Defense Advisor's office in London. I was in Prague. I had a reply from Defense Advisor's office in London, inviting me for an interview.
In London?
In London.
Okay.
So I came.
Because you went to medical school in Prague, former Czechoslovakia.
Exactly. So I came. And there were quite a number of doctors there. We were more than 15, and nurses. And I saw 3 British officers in uniform. 2 male, 2 male and 1 female. They were all in uniform, military uniform. Then, by then I've never met him. I saw also then Lieutenant Colonel Anokwenu.
Mm.
Then I saw another person who later became very close with me. Both of them are very close with me. Another colonel, another major, he was a major, called Major Francis Acheampong. He passed on recently. Not knowing Kwenu was in charge of the, what do you call commission.
Commissioning, okay.
Yeah. And he was assisted by the British officers. And Acheampong, as a major, was the secretary to the commission. So they finished with a friend of mine called John Cobner. He was a dentist. He was the first to be called. I was the second. Now when I was called, then I noticed that Arnold was, I've never met him before. Neither have I met Acheampong or anyone. They took me through a lot of things. And then one remarkable thing that I remember they say is that many a time when some of the doctors enter the army, they think they are higher than regular officers. I don't know. And if you follow my track very, very carefully, I was very close with the ranks and officers. You don't even use your doctorate this thing on just your rank. So after they asked me, drilled me through a lot of things, then the white man asked me a question, whether I've heard of this thing that involved Nixon.
Watergate.
He wanted to test me.
Your current affairs.
And current affairs. Believe me, I'm somebody who reads American magazines a lot.
You were ready for them?
Oh, I gave them where it took place, everything. And then they say, I should go and wait. So it was the room that my colleague, the first person, had been asked to wait, that I went. So I asked, but why should they ask us to wait? The others are going. He said, he himself, he doesn't know too. Then after they finished, they took only 2 of us.
You and the dentist?
Myself and the dentist. 2 of us.
How many was the pool? How many of you applied? Or how many of you were there that day?
Those who applied, I can't tell.
But how many of you were there that day?
Doctors who came, there were about 15.
Okay, and they took only 2.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So.
And nurses. In fact, the nurses they took, later I think they came to 37. So, immediately then they say, somebody should we should go to Harley Street. If you know London, where Harley Street is where they have top hospitals for medical examination. So we went there. And I remember, it's long ago, but I still remember Dr. Obin. One Dr. Obin who is a specialist, top specialist, a Ghanaian. He was the one who had the look at us, examiners and whatnot. And then Obin got to know that I'm a nephew of my uncle who established Nyaho Clinic. So he bought a pack of, my uncle likes golf a lot. So he bought a pack of golfs that I should come. When I come, I should give it to him, which I did, you know. Then from there, we came to Military Academy at Acheampong for training.
What was training like?
Training just with other ordinary soldiers. Officer training as an officer. You go through map reading, all sort of things, shooting, like a war training. Then I remember we had an exile, and we should have been back the following day. And I stayed. I didn't come back.
You overstayed?
Overstayed. These are things that soldiers don't play with at all. So one early in the morning, I was marched to the commanding officer.
Who, can you remember his name?
Yes, he was a white Canadian. A white Canadian. The name was Lieutenant Colonel Digobeo. I was marched to him. When we got in there, he asked the RSM to walk away. The RSM, I remember very well, his name was RSM Gakplazi. Tall, well-built.
Regimental Sergeant
Major. He was the RSM of the Military Academy. Very powerful man. Very, very powerful man. I remember one time we were at parade. When we were at parade and they are doing inspections. Normally, the RSMs and others will do inspection before they hand over to the officers. Then, at the parade, of course, you can't move with your rifle and everything. Then he shouted. He called his sergeant. Sergeant! He said, yes, sir. The sergeant marched to him, halted. Then he pointed to one person, not far from me. Charge him for dirty face. So, military is full of fun. I love the military.
Dirty face, eh?
Dirty face, they said it. Charge him for dirty face. And you know what the dirty face was?
No.
The gentleman has put powder on his face. The military doesn't want that at all.
No time for powder, man.
No time for
They're
powder.
going to war.
He was a dentist too. He joined us from Accra here. And when I was married to the Canadian, he asked the RSM to walk out. And he asked me to sit down. So I sat down. There's an officer cadet, Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe. When you decide to leave this country today, I know you can go. But don't forget, you are building a nation. Believe me, that changed me completely. Honestly, there have been doctors who come to academy and they leave. I knew quite a lot. They can't go through the training. But when that man told me that, just simple, straightforward. Say, you must know you are building a nation. But then you can imagine, our independence was just young. Very, very young.
If you could meet that man again, what would you tell him?
Oh, I would definitely salute him. I would salute him. And that changed me. But he still punished me.
Of course.
Every afternoon, after training, after classes, I have to dress in my battle order. When you say battle order, boots, everything, with pouches, and your bag at your back, loaded with things, and your rifle, SRR, and you'll be trotting on the parade grounds. I'll be trotting there. And not that I'm doing it alone, I'm being watched. There's somebody there who is directing me. Until I finished, we got commissioned, and then I left the academy. and came to 1 battalion of infantry.
So there was a process that took you into the army, and there was definitely no protocol that you are so passionate against now.
No. Protocol from whom? Indeed, when I will give you another example. When I was a young officer at 37, the military, that will tell you that the military has its own program, but many a time civilians interfered into it. I remember very well, I was put on a recruitment team headed by a lieutenant colonel. So that tells you how serious it is. That's somebody at the level of a battalion commander. And our duty was to visit all the regional capitals. By then, we had about 9 regions.
Yeah.
We started from Ho. I remember very well when we went to Akafia, General Akafia, he was then a major. I remember very, very well. Now, when we get to a region, you pick the indigents. Listen to me carefully. The indigents there. From there, you move to another region. You do the same. We visited went all the way to Bolga.
So that the army will have a representation of everybody across the country.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is the idea. Then we came out with young boys, 16 plus, going. We were trained those days, some at Kumasi and other places. So you have them, people like Aloga, Akatapori and others. This is how they develop the army. Now, listen to me carefully. June 4th, I think 2 weeks after June 4th, I was driving a just released prisoner heading towards cantonment. So I was using the 37 traffic light going straight as if I'm going to Bemakam. If you watch carefully, there's an army mess there. We call it army mess.
Yes.
There's a Catholic church that have been nicely done now there too. So I stopped there. I met a friend, so I stopped there. And I was having a chat with a friend. The moment the friend left, when I was about to enter my car, a pins goer, you know a pins goer?
Yes, the military vehicles.
A pins goer came, packed with smart looking other ranks. They were about 7. And they stopped right by my car. I wasn't afraid though, but I don't know this. I don't know exactly what. Maybe they stopped to pick something up. Then they all came out smartly. Then their hands went up. Good afternoon, sir. I wasn't in uniform. And then one of them said, sir, you were the doctor in charge when we were admitted into the armed forces. So I said, oh, young man, what are you doing now? He said, sir, 5 of us are on the council of the Armed Forces Revolutionary Council. 5.
Young other ranks.
Young other ranks who were then running the country.
Their ages would have been what at that time?
We took them in 74, and this thing happened in 79.
So early 20s?
early 20s.
Running a country?
But that is what happened here. The other ranks were running the country. You see, these are things that Ghanaians must know. Boys that I personally put in the armed forces, not because I know them, but as a doctor,
they were fit
I'm the final authority to say you are qualified or not qualified, medically maybe. They recognized me, stopped the vehicle, came, gave me a salute, and they told me there's one only name that I can remember, I always remember, and it was something like something Tete.
When they left, did you reflect on?
Oh, I did.
On the situation.
I did seriously, because I said, life is an interesting thing. But look at what I passed through, and finally, right down from commissioning, training, getting to the force, getting into the what do you call it? The battalions, and then recruitment and all this sort of thing of the other ranks, and finally, look at this.
When I spoke to Brigadier General Joseph Nunu Mensah, he said Ghanaians greeted the first round of executions with glee. They were shouting for, and almost happily, for the blood to flow. Did you get that impression too?
That is very, very true. You see, when people get fed up with a system, they got fed up. They got fed up, number one, with the officer corps, because by then officer corps were those who were leading them. And they think there's a lot of corruption going on also in the armed forces. You follow me? And Ghanaians themselves were also fed up with the military government. And the shouting for blood was done mostly at the University of Ghana.
The students?
The students.
The academics?
Let the blood flow. That was what they were saying.
Whose blood?
Whose blood? Anyone they find to be, what do you call it? Anyone who has gone against, what they feel shouldn't have.
So they welcomed the execution of General Acheampong and General Utuka.
The people went there. There were people who went to the shooting range to watch.
Like a movie?
Like a movie, they want to see. People were rushing there to watch. Some maybe out of anxiety, some also, they were, some of them were there. And indeed, from what I heard from my friend, they were, the other ranks were pressing for more officers to be killed.
Beyond the 2 rounds of executions that happened?
Oh, no, it should have been third.
It should have been a third round, yes.
Should have been
General Nunu Mensah said there was actually a third list. But
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, that from the information I had from my friend, Henry, there was pressure from the other ranks that more officers should be killed. They have to stop it.
Yes. Why did they stop it though?
I think Rollins became alarmed. And they were able to convince their colleagues, like those who saw me. And that boy's name is Sheikh Tete.
The young other ranks.
Yeah, the young other ranks.
Who is now a member of the
They were in
council
charge
of the country.
And I'm telling you, when you see it on television, like small boys. You follow me? So the third round was stopped. I remember very well the first shooting. I heard it from late Pa Willie. I've then gone to buy Foriata. I've gone to there's a filling station on the old Acheampong road, and I came there to buy fuel. And he met me. So in fact, he called me, and he was very worried. He was very worried, but what can you do? Then not quite long after the second one.
Yes, but even before the second one, there was an election. After the 16th, on the 18th, there was an election.
Yeah, 18th.
Yes, 2 days after the execution.
There was an election, yes. There was an election. And
this was part of the timetable to return the country to civilian rule.
Exactly. Exactly. So they continued with it.
But that was crazy. I mean, 2 days after public execution, then you go to the polls.
Yeah, you see, the military, I keep on saying, the military, they have their own way of doing things. Especially when they are in crisis. They found that particular period as a crisis period. And when they are in crisis, or they are managing the crisis period, well, you are dealing with men. They are more than officers.
Yeah.
And they handle heavy weapons. So anything
can
happen. So the moment discipline breaks down, that's why I keep on saying that it is dangerous to put these so-called protocol people into the armed forces. It is no good. Many a time, when you see disturbances and misbehavior among soldiers, when you go into it deeply, you see that it's the protocol people. What happened in Kumasi not quite long. So those who are doing, and I believe, is a responsibility of both the military high command and the police to have a chat with government on this. Not to destroy our armed forces. They should tell them plainly that what is happening is destroying our armed forces.
Can the situation be salvaged if they stop now?
No, if you make government.
Or has it gone beyond the point of no return?
No, I think it can be salvaged. If they make government, and they are bold, I use the word bold, to tell government, look, this thing is going to destroy the armed forces. This protocol list, we better stop it. And the government fails to listen to them, they should resign. I'm telling you, both the IGP and the CDS. Well, that is what will be done in a civilized country.
If you give professional advice, nobody takes it.
Absolutely. If you give a professional advice, no listen, you resign. Take your pen and leave them.
Go.
What do you call it? General Nunwensama made mention of a similar situation. When he resigned. You follow me? But the culture of resignation, we don't have it here. Well, most people wouldn't have been at positions where they are.
Stay forever.
No.
So the second round of executions happened, and was there an ethnic slant to the people who were killed?
Let me see. This is a very good question. Now, Joy Amedome, nice looking man, from the Volta region.
What was his role? He was in charge of?
He was Navy Commander.
Navy Commander, Amedome.
Utuka was Border Guards Commander, also from Volta region. Yabuachi, Air Force Commander, from Ashanti region. Kote, Chief of Defense Staff, from Greater Accra region. Afrifa, from Ashanti region. Acheampong, from Ashanti region. Do you understand? I think that's all. Akufo, from Akwapin, that's Central region. Yeah? Eastern region. Sorry, Eastern region. Now, it will shock you to hear that they dragged Roger Feli in, Colonel Roger Feli in, because they wanted a regional equalization.
Where was kind of Feli from?
He's from the north, from Avrongo. Because all the people that I
all
mentioned, there's
Southerners,
nobody from the northern region. And Feli has not committed any crime. You see, these things, when I see how people not learning from it, it surprises me. That is how Feli died. You remember I spoke with him on the desert?
Mm-hmm. Yes, when he was Commissioner for Foreign Affairs. Mm-hmm. And he came to speak about the Unigov.
Yeah, exactly.
And you cautioned him about...
I cautioned him that it is not our duty to lead civilians.
When he died, how did that make you feel?
I was very sad. But the first time I made mention of that, I nearly broke down. I was interviewed by this boy. This boy in City TV.
Bernard?
No, not Bernard. Oh, Bernard was a kid. Their boss
Atamensa. Samuel Atamensa.
Samuel Atamensa. You can Google it, you see it. So Bernard showed, Atamensa showed his pictures. Very handsome, calm gentleman.
And you knew him personally?
And he was a mate. Oh, yeah. He was a mate of Nunu Mensah in their group. 5 officers in Sandhurst. Because of his gentleman and dress was well, and he speaks well, you know. They put him in the foreign ministry after a while. So it was there that he died.
If only he had listened to you.
Well, listen to me.
Young captain on the desert.
Listen to me. I just drew his attention.
Yeah.
And one interesting thing is that I'm sure Nunu Mensah will tell you that soldiers have not been trained to rule civilians. Do you understand what I'm saying? No, not at all. So the practice where the little thing you bring a soldier in is not good. They have their own way of living. If you're in the battalion, then you understand me properly. Soldiers should not be brought out to electoral process during voting. No. A soldier will not shoot to wound. He will shoot to kill.
So do you agree with these joint patrols, military police patrols in the anti-Galamsey illegal mining fight? There, would you want to put soldiers?
No.
In those, or you would still want to keep the police?
If that responsibility has been left in hands of soldiers alone for the patrol, and they know their target, that thing would have stopped long.
Galamsey would have ended.
I'm telling you, rather mixing them is what is creating them. Because they have command structure. You follow
So
me?
do the police.
That's why I say, you don't mix the police with the soldiers. They are police sees to internal civil problems. Soldiers, external, they defend the country. You can't mix the two. It will never work. And that's why it's not working.
So Unigov was even doomed to fail from the beginning, right? When you have all these police and army and civilians all mixed together.
So that tells you that Unigov definitely wouldn't have worked. See, but the mistake also we still make is that as a political class, we fail to learn from what has happened before. But what has happened before can happen again. I'm telling you.
Where do you think this amnesia or this refusal to just even look at history and draw lessons is coming? Where is it coming from?
Is it the media did what?
Well, people just don't take notice of what happened in history. Is it that they don't know, or they see what is happening and think it can't happen to us?
Well, I think it's the nature of the black race.
You think it's genetic?
But we think, to begin with, we really don't do much with history. That's our problem. But history is there, as Malcolm X used to say, in this world, history is the best teacher. And when you have a problem and you cannot solve your problem, look at others who have similar problems.
So go back
like yours. And you find out how they solve their problem, you can solve your problem. That's Malcolm X.
Isn't it ironic that we have a philosophy in Sankofa where you go back and find stuff to progress, and there's so much unwillingness to go back into history, pick what is good from there, or pick lessons, and then use it to progress.
Yeah, that's what I said. We don't value history.
Don't value it.
Because history repeats itself all the time. And those who are sharp, the civilized country, they know it. History repeats itself all the time. And history is repeating itself. You can see the signs, even here in our country now.
You think 2024 is looking like 79?
Well, with the level of corruption, particularly younger generation in politics, we have to be careful. I'm telling you. I have seen through some of these things. I'm not a small boy talking to you. With the level 45 years ago, I have been released from prison as a soldier who attempted a coup. With the level of corruption going on now, where everybody seems to be quiet. I mean, look at what happened to the judges. I remember. You remember the killing of the judges?
The 3 judges and the army officer.
That day, they held a sermon for them, right in front of the Supreme Court. I was there, myself. You know the Samoa brothers, Kakra Samoa, and Penny also, for the Penny has passed. You can ask Kakra Samoa. His father was then the head of the Methodist Church. He preached that day. Reverend Samoa. What have we learned from it? Have the judges changed? You see, I don't know.
It's frustrating.
Have they changed? Right, not quite long ago, judges were accused of taking bribes.
Goats
not
and sheep.
long ago.
Goats and sheep and money and...
Is it?
Goats and sheep.
Yeah, goats and sheep and other things. After this very painful, dramatic event that took place, and believe me, the judges they killed, they didn't kill them because of corruption. No, these were fine judges at that time. 40 years plus ago. Fine judges. I made mention of Kuranti Ado, who saw to the case of, who sat on the case of
Judgment and
IC.
Yeah.
And she gave judgment, the right judgment. Yet look at what happened to her.
And we
see,
still don't know.
When people are misbehaving, I don't seem to understand it. Recently, I heard the Chief Justice, the present Chief Justice. And if you are going to say anything, a Chief Justice, that maybe the magistrate say it. Coming to praise the president. But I have never heard it anywhere before. I don't know what I heard about that. The Chief Justice showering praises on the president. Now, when you have a case, the state versus somebody, how are you going to manage it? A chief judge, I was shocked.
So a lot reminds you of 79. And 79 was filled with so many events. It still hadn't ended because after those 2 coup attempts, one of which was successful, after the 2 rounds of execution, after the 2 rounds of elections, Ghana had a new president, the 3rd head of state in that particular year alone, Dr. Hilary Mann. And so he's sworn in in September of 79. President Rawlings hands over power to him.
Reluctantly.
Reluctantly.
Because Rawlings has been to Cuba. Listen to me carefully. During his short reign, he went to Cuba. And Castro, there's one thing I forgot. Let me finish that one. When Rawlings was given the platform and the military intelligence advised not to allow the public to come in, at least the press.
After the May 15th uprising.
May 15th uprising. Similar thing had happened in Cuba in 1950 something, 58 or I don't know when. When Castro seized power, Castro first attempted, he was caught. When he was tried, he was given the opportunity to speak. And that was when he touched on the downtrodden, how they are suffering and whatnot. And he had the mass support.
So if General Akufo had listened to history,
then,
he would not have made a mistake.
The person who made that particular remark was called Major. Then he was Major Ano Ojija. But he left the army as Director of Military Intelligence during Liman's period as a full colonel. He repeatedly told government what is going to happen. Government didn't listen. And it happened.
He advised the Liman government.
Yes! They even gave them the minute.
Was he the one who also advised against the open trial?
No.
That was somebody else. Another military intelligence guy.
He is a pure military intelligence. He will give you the intelligence report.
For you to go and make your decision.
And then, you follow me. He left.
So President Rawlings, Flight Lieutenant Rawlings went to Cuba.
He went to Cuba.
To meet Castro?
And they met Castro. I'll see what I can get some of the pictures and show it to you. Every Castro gave him a shotgun. Now, by then, when he briefed Castro that he would like to hand over, Castro told him, don't make that mistake.
Oh, Castro advised him not to hand over.
If some of these AFRC people are alive, they should come and challenge me. If they are alive. Castro won him. If he hands over power, he will regret. And look at what he went through until he became head of state. The numerous coup d'etats, attempts, and the people who lost their lives in this country, some innocent lives. You see, Castro won him. These are facts. These are facts. I wish you could have opportunity to talk to Henry. These are facts. I'll give you Henry's picture. You see him, a young officer, captain, and that, very smart. Recently he came home. He is now based in London. He came to me here. We took a picture here. I'll show that to you.
So when you look back, and we're recording this on the anniversary of May 15th, when you look back at the events of 1979, what lessons do you draw from these events, and what do you want Ghanaians to learn?
I want Ghanaians to learn one thing. One, accountability. Two, culture of resignation. Because if you can account to something, you will never steal. Do you understand me? That's why I was surprised that my senior brother, Sam Okujeto, should come out with a statement concerning the Cecilia Dapas case. I was really surprised. I know that I'm not annoyed. She's far my senior, but I was surprised. Because anybody, even when you have a glass, you should be able to account for it. Do you understand me? And we have buildings springing up all over the places. Do you want to tell me that they just got there? People put them there. Where did they get the money from? And these are the things that annoy the ordinary people. I'm telling you. I am telling you. I'm telling you, I was watching television, which station? I think City, last night news, where the road leading to Kaswa area or whatever it is, I don't.
It's destroyed.
There's sand or whatever.
It's bad.
Yeah. You should see how people are annoyed. You see, leaders should put their ears on the ground. You should see how people are annoyed. So if you have intention of stealing an election, then you want to plunge this country into a big, big problem. Well, if the people vote their choice and you change it, then there's a problem. Like it happened at Acheampong time. You see? We have 45 years ago, most of you were not around. But it happened. And I'm saying that it can happen. When I joined the army, I didn't for a second thought I would go through such things. No, look at what I've taken you through. My first arrest, not arrest, in fact, it's important these things come out. But they are in my book. When I was at Michel camp, one afternoon, my Batman, you know a Batman?
Mm-hmm. Like your assistant?
Came to tell me that I have a visit. That was my first contact with the military intelligence. Who comes in, or who came to me, two gentlemen. One I know very, very well. The other one I haven't met him before. Captain Su, you have heard his name before. Joel. And then he was also a captain at that time, Captain Wallace Badema. I'm sure you might have heard of him. They came to my house. I received them in the hall, we were chatting. Now, Su was doing most of the talking. And his talk was around Acheampong. And I knew that he gave Acheampong a lot of support in the school. Do you understand me? So I didn't understand. I was very new in the military. I didn't know in most of the commanders. He didn't discuss anything that I would say is subversive. When he left my place, he went to another chap next to me. I told her I have a friend, Major Henry Smith. His bungalow was next to mine. I didn't even know he was going there. He went there, the two of them, and had a chat with him. Then, in the evening, Henry called me and said, "Nyaho, was Owo in your house?" I said, "Yes, Owo was here." He's alive. We can call him if I ask him. He said, "So Owo was here." He said, "Have you taken any action?" I said, "What action?" He said, "Well, he came to me, the fact that he was there, and issues that he was trying to discuss with me, I reported to the military intelligence." He told me. And he advised me I should do the same. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I was in my office when the commanding officer called me and told me that I should report to Burma camp and see by then whether that lieutenant colonel or major, it's called Aku. deputy head of military intelligence. I think he took over from General Nunu Mensah. I went there straight, I was under arrest. Straight to Kawukudi Junction place I was talking to you about. They have a lot of buildings behind. This will just try and drive, you see. I was given a paper, write my statement, what I discussed with you. My first experience. I have not discussed anything so that I find subversive. So I stated everything on paper. And then they asked me to call somebody to come and bail me. I called my father-in-law, my late father-in-law. He came and bailed me. And I went back to the unit. That was before
your attempt.
My attempt.
Were you set up?
At that time,
okay.
At that time, Zugu had been known. I think he has that. Whether it's experience or whatever it is, I don't know. But he was involved in a lot of military attempts or coup d'etats. If you have followed carefully, if you follow me, in Kumas one, he was him. Buzias overthrown by Acheampong. He played a key role. By then he was even about to leave the military. You follow me? So when we were sent to Nsawam, I don't know how he got to know because they had then been sentenced to death. So, Kojo Chikata, America, von Bakunstein, 4 of them. I think there's a 5th. I can't forget, but 4 I can't. They have been sent to death.
By whose regime?
But it was, so whose case was tried by under Acheampong's regime. I don't know how Sugo got to know that I've been brought to someone.
But he found out.
And he sent a message to somebody. Oh, prison is an interesting place. He sent a message to somebody and told me where I should come behind a wall, a tall wall. Those who have been sentenced is a no-go area for anyone. So I went close to that place. There's something like a gutter, small gutter. And when he spoke, I heard him. And he was asking me about things outside. It's all right, you got to.
I will have a chat with him. I'll have a chat with him.
Believe me, so who knows a lot.
Mm-hmm. I'll have a chat with him, definitely.
He knows a lot.
Definitely.
And believe me, I was sure. I just saw that look. When I went to the BNI's special branch cells, I saw your name written down the wall. He has slept there several times.
We'll have a chat with him, definitely.
Mm-hmm. So we have to learn from the past. You see, that is the biggest problem facing us.
Learn from the past.
You have to learn from the past. You see, when you have, that's why we have constitution. And if we were to be having genuine elections in this country, we will know exactly who should lead us. But elections we have here are not genuine. They are not. They are not at all genuine, even from the level, from the party lowest level. Money is changing hands. So this one mistake also we make here. When you do these things, you are not in any way parting any good thing for the young ones. What they are saying it.
Yeah, so the cycle continues.
Exactly.
Yeah. So lots to learn from 79 that we can apply in 2024.
Absolutely.
And beyond. Captain, it's been a real pleasure.
Is it?
It's been a real pleasure.
Oh, it's a pleasure too.
Thank you for sharing your story. So many things that I now know that I didn't know in the past.
But it's unfortunate. Your station today should have talked a lot about 79.
Yes, indeed.
And even come out with pictures that
Exactly.
you have.
Exactly.
You see?
So we'll try and
The
correct the
pictures that
situation.
you have. But we have to be careful as a nation.
Thank you.
We have to be careful as a nation, because no one should think he can use force to run this country. It will never work. Not even the soldiers. No one. You can't use force to run it. I mean, there's a massive population of 30 million people plus. So allow the process to allow, what do you call it, issues to go through the process gradually.
No subversion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
It's a real pleasure.
Yeah. Okay.
Captain Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe. And that was History Time, looking at that pivotal year in our history, Ghana's history, 1979, 45 years ago. On this day that we're recording this interview, 15th May, there was an uprising by Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings, which failed. And then there was a June 4th that succeeded, and executions and everything that the country went through. And then the switch over to constitutional rule, the Third Republic, headed by Dr. Liman. What did you find interesting about this particular interview? Let us know in your comments down below. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do so that the next time a new interview comes up, you will definitely know. My name is Capt. Thank you very much for watching.